Okay. I'm here interviewing Mrs. Garza. She's a PPCD teacher. And if you can, Ms. Garza, just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Susana Garza. I've been teaching special ed for a total of 12 years, but I've been in the education business 21 years. As a PPCD teacher, I've been teaching for 5 years here in San Benito. My prior experience was with Rio Hondo Junior High. What is a PPCD unit? PPCD unit is the preschool for children with physical disabilities. I take care of children that have autism, children who have cerebral palsy, children who have the brain injury, children in wheelchairs, and our program is designed to be early intervention for children between the ages of 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
That's what I do.
All right. And what specific degree or education requirements are necessary for your job?
In order to become a special education teacher, you must attend college for 4 years and walk out of there with a teaching degree, and then go back an additional 2 years just to specialize in special ed. And the special ed degree will run, once again, anywhere from the pre-K units down to 12th grade. It's just wherever the district decides to put you. I don't have to have specific training in early childhood because I can be put in any grade level with special ed. I prefer the little ones. More because I feel like I can do more with the little children than I can with the older children at the junior high level. But wherever you put me, I'm going to teach.
Mm-hmm, right. Okay. And can you describe your role in working with children with special needs?
Well, there's a lot of things that we do with special ed. My role is, of course, in the morning, getting them settled in, with their breakfast and the morning routines. And then after that, we begin with beginning word sounds and letter sounds, and having them learn to start writing with a pencil and recognizing their ABCs. We do a lot of songs so that the songs help with the rhyming, and they also help with the counting. Then we do the circle time, which includes the dates. So we do cover that, months, themes, and then a little bit later on in the day we cover math and reading, of course, and then the science and the social studies. Sensory groups, that's where it's mostly designed for the children who are autistic. However, the other children use it as a play period. Children come to class from half a day to a full day. But I think the most important thing is that it's early intervention for children who have the disabilities, so that we train them and get them ready to enter regular classrooms.
Okay. And that would be for full inclusion or more towards mainstream?
Our goal is for them to become mainstream.
Mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And what do you find most challenging about the work that you do?
Having patience. Having patience to deal with the children at the different cognitive levels, because all these children have different cognitive levels, and there's no two that are ever exactly alike.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the disability, and some of them have more than one disability, and some of them have just one disability and nothing else. So I would say that I have to have a lot of patience, and I have to do a lot of research, and it requires me to spend a lot of time after school getting the work prepared for me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
A lot of paperwork.
Okay. And how do you plan and collaborate with your coworkers?
The only teachers that did you say coworkers,
mm-hmm.
or as in the ladies that work with me, or as in another teacher?
Maybe like another teacher, or maybe a special ed department, or.
Okay. Well, I'll start with the special ed. As far as collaborating with the other special ed teachers, we don't. We each have a unit. However, we have what they call the central office special ed department, and that's basically where I get all my orders from them.
Okay.
If I'm going to collaborate with the teachers, at the moment I only have one child who is half a day in regular ed, and that would be the lady next door. She is a pre-K teacher, and her and I collaborate on the different academic areas and the behavior of this particular child, and we pretty much try to follow the same type of curriculum, and that's basically what I do, try to follow the same curriculum they do, except that mine is just a tad bit easier because my children, in many cases, do not speak. They do not read. Don't recognize all of the ABCs, a good portion of them. So in the case of the teacher that I do collaborate with, he's one of the children that is being mainstreamed, so whatever she's doing in that classroom, I pretty much try to follow it over here. Then we trade grades, and we compare, and we discuss, and we plan that way. As far as my paraprofessionals, there's not always a lot of time to be collaborating with them. However, I do have one particular one that does all my worksheets for me. If I give them to her, she gets them done, and upon her request, she a lot of times asks me if she can do her own activities, and I let her do those activities. But this paraprofessional has been working with me for a long time. 5 years that I've been here, she's been with me.
Mm-hmm.
So her and I have the best collaboration than with the other one that hasn't been with me that long.
Okay. All right. And what type of help do you receive from your coworkers or from the special ed department within the district?
Well, that's kind of pretty much what I just told you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. My coworker, within the classroom, which is a paraprofessional,
Mm-hmm.
I work pretty close with both of them. One of them, like you said, is one that usually is the one that does most of the worksheets, so she knows more or less what the children need based on their abilities, and because of the fact that she's been in this unit for 5 years, so she knows more.
Okay.
The other one is becoming a teacher very soon, so she knows a little bit more onto the teaching side because she's worked with teachers in the regular ed department. So that they're two different sources, each one equally as good. But the one that's going to become a teacher is the one that helps a little bit more on being able to follow the TEKS alignment, because we do use the TEKS alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is a special ed unit, we are required to follow those procedures.
Right.
The special ed department, which is located in central office, they give us meetings in which we are informed of all of our laws that we have to follow, all of our paperwork, any changes, testing material that we need to become aware of, and any type of accommodations that we need. Then the central office takes care of that part, and we have meetings where everybody meets and talks about it.
Okay. All right. And what type of issues of student diversity do you face?
Okay. My student diversity would be from the different disabilities, I would think. I don't know if I'm answering that question correctly. Because diversity can mean anything from racial
Culture.
to culture.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that I look at diversity is the different age groups and the different learning abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I said earlier, each child has a different learning ability. And for instance, I have one student who comes from a home environment in where both parents are deaf and mute. And so there's a big diversity right there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the children that I was saying that is now in special ed. He's in regular ed. He's doing very well. But that was a big diversity to face. And then I have another one that's in a wheelchair. And that's a very big diversity because in his case, he does not speak. He has had special feeding. He's in a wheelchair. He's partially deaf and partially blind. Then I have I have two. Matter of fact, I have two autistic children. So there's your diversity there also.
Right. Okay. Very wide range of diversity. Okay. And how do you deal with those issues? Is it do you find that you have to manage your time a little better, or how is it that you deal with those issues as far as diversity goes?
Well, each one of them gets their own special time of the day, and each one of them gets a very individualized learning plan, which we call the IEP.
The IEP.
Okay, and the IEP is based upon, we do this once a year, and in that paperwork we design the goals, the objectives for the entire year, and it's almost like a lesson plan, so to speak, and we follow it throughout the year, and we monitor the growth of the child throughout the year. And those IEPs pretty much can keep you on track, because you know how to address each level, each learning ability for that specific child.
Right. Okay. And in your experience, what strategies have been effective in differentiating your instruction?
It's hard to answer on that one, because they're just, each child is different. So for my autistic children, then I use nothing but autistic strategies.
Okay.
For the child that cannot speak, well, then he has more of what we call the manding strategies, which is offering the child an object and asking him to be able to name it, and in many cases he can't. So I put the pencil down and I say to him, "This is a pencil," and then I ask him, "Hand me the pencil," and the child should pick that pencil up and give it back to me. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But the manning part comes in, the manning strategy comes in when you pick up the object, name the object, hand it back to the student, ask the student to repeat what it was, and then he hands it back to you. That's manning. So that's how I use that strategy a lot.
Okay.
And then it's designed mostly for autistics, but for a child that can't speak, it would be the same thing.
Right.
We also use a strategy called the pictorial PICS, which is your picture identification communication. And you hand the child a picture of something, and then you're asking again a child to name that. And then we use visual schedules for our autistic children. And there's just so many strategies. But more than anything, it's just redirect, and redirect. Patience.
Right.
Patience is the biggest factor, the very biggest factor.
Right. And have you encountered any problems or issues as far as disciplining goes?
Yeah. We have the issue of disciplining with the autistic child, because in the autistic child, you may try to discipline them, but they really don't understand. They don't understand that concept because of the disability itself. The disability does not lend to the child being able to cognitively understand why you're getting after him. So it's a totally different approach. There's no way that you can really discipline them because they don't understand that concept.
Right.
It's not until the autistic child becomes older do they understand the concept of being disciplined. And another child that who has very extremely low cognitive skills, you can't really discipline because they don't understand. You just have to redirect. And then there are some children that are just stubborn, and that is just simply redirecting and showing them what the behavior should be, modeling on a child that, and I don't have too many of those, a child that I know is able to understand, then we will model and redirect, and model and redirect. So most of the children, in a normal, regular children, it takes at least 7 times for you to teach them a skill, for them to understand it. But when you're dealing with this type of children, it may take up to 14, 15 times. And in some cases, you can explain it to them all in one day, 15, 16 times, and tomorrow they'll come back and forget everything you talked about.
Right.
And that's where you come in, where you have the children who have the learning disability. So you have to be thinking of all kinds of
on your toes all the time.
All the time. There's no time for just relaxing not be constantly thinking, okay, well, I tried this, what do I do here?
Mhm.
You just have to be able to do things quickly.
Right.
You can't stop and think about it because, the children are not going to wait for us,
Right.
And so it takes a lot of redirecting
Mhm.
and, again, a lot of patience.
Yes. And what types of modifications or accommodations have been most successful?
Accommodations and modifications?
Mhm.
Okay, accommodations in any of your PPCD units, or rather any of your special ed units, you usually have the accommodations built in. Okay, because accommodations is actually being able to go in there and change something, and so you can't change anything on the curriculum. Modifications is different. Modifications you can tweak. For instance, if a child can't read, then I'm going to be using visuals as opposed to the child, as opposed to my being able, telling the child you need to be able to read this,
Mhm.
because obviously they can't speak, they can't read.
Right.
Obviously they can't speak. There's no way they're going to be able to answer to you.
Mhm.
So you supply, a lot of visuals and a lot of redirections and a lot of pointing, or gestures.
Mhm.
That's the way I communicate with them.
Okay. And what made you decide to teach PPCD or go into the profession that you did?
A lot of reasons. But my main one that I wanted, when I became a teacher, I became a regular ed teacher. But as I went back to school, I went back to school for almost 8 years because I had been out of school for a long time. So I went back for 8 years. I went back to night school for 8 years. And I had to take all of my math all over again because I had forgotten my foundation. So I struggled a whole lot to get past my math classes.
Mhm.
And as I, got past each math level, building up my skills, I realized that as an adult I struggled. So what better way but to give back the strategies and the techniques, and the patience to have gone back than to teach special ed, because I knew what it was like to struggle and to be able to, build your way back up and become, a better learner. And what was the way that I struggled when I met my first boss? She told me, she said, you would be the excellent and the most perfect special ed teacher, and especially resource math. She goes, because of everything you went through. And she was right. Because of all that I struggled with, I became a better person.
You understood
and
better.
I understood everything that these children needed to have.
Mhm.
And I knew that foundation in special ed just wasn't there, for my junior high kids.
Mhm.
And so when I arrived in PPCD, obviously there was no foundation. I had to build a foundation, and I knew how to build a foundation, and with what I had struggled with, and that's how I landed here. Plus, I love children, and I love the fact that I can take these children and help them learn in ways that they've never been able to learn before. And I think that it's my love and my patience that helps me.
That's great. What do you find most rewarding about working with these students?
What I just said.
How they learn and...
Yes. What I find the most rewarding is, and this could be the junior high level, or it could be where I'm at right now, watching a child walk into this classroom screaming, kicking, not being able to communicate, not understanding why they have to be here, and then watch them slowly grow and begin to talk and begin to enjoy school and love the atmosphere of school. And then my biggest joy is just that the same love I give to them, they give to me.
All right. Is there any advice that you can give me as a future teacher?
Well, that's hard to answer because I don't know which area you're going into. Because I have different advice for different teachers.
Well, it's bilingual education, but I am having to take this class. I mean, it could very well also be, special ed.
I think that if I looked at it as a bilingual teacher, I think you need to go back and you need to think about your culture, and how it was for you to grow up, and what can you offer, as an adult now, to a small child entering into a classroom of which he has no way to understand the language. And it becomes your job to be able to teach that child and give him the foundation so that you can enrich his life, her life. Because you will make a change. And if you don't look back at your own your cultural upbringing, then you can't put yourself in that child's place.
Right.
And that's mostly what I try to do, is put myself in that child's place. So in bilingual, that's what I would do. If I became a bilingual teacher, I would look at my own culture and find ways to enrich that culture where the child is. Under special ed, I always look at it this way. Mostly, more than anything in special ed, you have to have a heart. You've got to have a heart. You've got to have patience. And if you don't have a heart and you don't have patience, then please don't get into special education. Because it takes so much from you. You have to give, maybe 125% of yourself. And sometimes it means not spending time with your family. But that's in special ed. You have to give away and beyond what you need to, or what you might want to give.
Right.
Because you have to realize that in special ed, these children need to overcome disabilities. And to me, it's my responsibility, to be able to help them as much as possible. And, because the odds are so much against them. Their life can't change. Right. There is no way you can change the life of a special ed child if it's a serious disability. And again, sometimes the autistic child, it's the different levels of autism. So, but if you have a child that is deaf, and blind, you're not going to change that. Right. That's something that you have to put yourself into and just say, this could be my child. What can I do for this child? If this was my child. So that's where the love comes in. You have to love special ed children. If you don't get into this field. As a regular ed teacher, be ready, because you got to really be able to analyze data and plan a lot for the children, meeting each one of the children's needs in the regular ed classroom. And I may not have been a regular ed teacher, I was a regular ed teacher for a year, but I learned that you better be pretty knowledgeable. I was not a bilingual teacher, but for that I look back to my culture. And special ed, I look back to how I struggled, and that's how I kind of base it on. Right. But the love of teaching, gotta have it.
Yeah. All right. And are there any other special certifications that you have obtained or are working towards?
Yes. Right now, I am currently working on my master's program. I am working to become a special ed autism specialist. Okay. I was given a grant from the University of North Texas, and the grant is so that it helps teachers that are in rural school districts to be able to teach the autistic children. At this point, there's no specific teacher for for autistic. There is special ed teachers, but there's no specific teacher just designed for that. However, here in San Benito, we do have a teacher that specializes to teach the child, but she doesn't have the actual, title of autistic teacher because it's not available in the state of Texas yet. And then we have a special ed autism specialist over in the central office. And that lady, she's awesome. She's very awesome. But until the most recent years, they've never really specialized in getting a teacher for autism. So that's what so that's what this program was designed for. So that because it's called DART, and there were only 25 people that interviewed for the grant, and out of the 25, I happened to be one of the lucky ones that received it. So
Wow.
I'm currently working on that and trying to get that completed. Don't know when I'm going to get it completed, but I've been working on it. And then I'm also working, or I was working on a certification master's again for adult education, because it's not only, special ed kids get older.
Right.
I also started to work on my adult education in special education.
That's great.
I have 2 master's going.
Wow, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ms. Garza, I would just like to thank you for sitting down and doing this interview with me, and hopefully you'll get to finish your master's soon in autism, and we'll have you here as a teacher very soon.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure about whether or not I'll be able to do my autism specialized training here, because really in the state of Texas, here in the South Texas area, there's no positions available like that. If I want to teach it, with a teaching degree, I need to go to North Texas.
Oh, I
That's
see.
where the jobs are. Or I want to do in research. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Especially for the autistic. It's just, I could go on and on and on autism. It is just something that is just so interesting.
Mhm.
So very interesting. And I've learned so much from my classes. However, I've also learned a lot right here. I mean, a lot.
Mhm.
It's given me a lot of opportunities to learn here. And I've taken full advantage of that too. So I know wherever I go, I'll do well because of the knowledge that I have from this district and from the classes that I take.
Great.
Thank you.